It's allowed.
Tempest is not allowed.
People like watching this when this becomes my most viewed video ever from the algorithm, and they're like, what is he doing? Why is he started like this? Wait, why is this arrow up.png? Oh no. I was stupid.
You were silly. Got him good, you were silly.
Yeah, here we go. What are you working on today?
The sine wave.
Sine wave.
Water Shader Part 6.
Yo, my favorite series.
Every day a water shader. By which I mean I'm gonna randomly put things into the system until it works. Yes again, why use facts and logic to deduct where like my ripple thing in the water shader was not scaling according to window size? Instead of actually deducting logically what bit needs to be scaled, simply put the scaling factor every position you could put it in the formula until it fixes itself. That's right.
Nice.
Now it skills. What are you working on today, Stinky?
Currently just running around shooting stuff. It's quite fun.
Oh, you're doing the and playing the game and play testing the game.
Yeah, it's playtesting, yeah. I've accidentally made it very fun.
It seems like you're not playtesting at all. Maybe just playing.
I'm playing my own game. Why is there a piece of woolen in your Chris stream? What do you mean, Minus?
Yeah, welcome to my stream.
Welcome to Chris's stream. When are you streaming, Chris?
Thanks. Do you want to see what the progress? You shouldn't see the progress that I've done.
You want to show them now, or do you want to show them at the end?
Maybe shouldn't. Yeah.
Keep
them on their toes. No, keep them on their toes.
Keep them on their toes. How do I make my assets? Bit of a personal question. I use Ace Bright. Okay. I'm gonna look at my compass list. What's it called? Trello.
Compass list.
Here.
Yeah.
Done bobbing when you move. Did that look nice?
You know, I've simply given up on the Trello list and I've just started making new on-paper to-do lists with sub-lists for things I want to have done.
Damn.
The Trello list cannot hurt me.
I think I can do that. I'm streaming with Chris, the world's greatest programmer.
Well, that's simply not true. You're lying.
False. Wait. What? Weird. Do I normally do this stuff in... I shouldn't be doing this stuff in render actor system, but... Hello, production. I normally do this stuff. You vibe to music, does it make you a vibe coder? I think so. Yeah. What am I doing? I was gonna briefly see how difficult it would be for me to add a sway to the weapon as it moves around. It might be a pain in the ass though. Maybe I can't be bothered.
You know, Azelle doesn't take and. The word and, it doesn't take it.
Well, you normally use two
ampersand,
ampersands.
yeah. Just thought maybe it would, you know?
You might can help. Well, I don't need help with it. It's just whether or not I can be bothered to do it. You get me? You can give some scripts to make it a little better. I don't need that. That's okay. I do my own work. Writing. Thanks. Curious, if I just set this to like 10, 33. Hello, Camel. Okay. Kind of weird that this is all being done in render actor system and not an animation system, but it somewhat makes sense, I suppose. If it's switching, if it's reloading. I think I've decided I can't be asked to do this right now. I've never had Cheetos. I don't think they're really a thing in the UK. Flamethrower air blast. I don't know. It would be like an explosion that reverses everything in front of it, I guess. Whatsits then? I don't know if I've had Whatsits either. We burnt them with a Bunsen burner in physics once to work out how much energy was in them. A lot of my stuff in To Do Next Time seems to be very much like a niche feature. Make it so you could make the dagger or any weapon be ignitable. That shit was done ages ago. It affects to weapons that are inflamed. Could do that. I don't think there is one right now, right? Be nice, you know what, actually having the ability to like apply like a particle system to stuff like Team Fortress would be useful. Here's a normal dagger, I guess. And if I give myself incendiary, it gives off fire like this, but there's nothing that really implies that the thing itself is incendiary. I don't really know how I do that easily though. Because I guess I could just spawn particles where the weapon is being drawn. I don't think the normal particle emitter really works with that though. You can bring me some Whatsits if you want. I'm okay. Thank you. Generally having particle effects on weapons just sound kind of sick though. Ugh. Well, if I could apply a particle with like an offset, is that a thing I could do? I could say in animation system or something. I don't know. I could also just apply the particle emitter to a weapon. How am I currently using the ignited thing? I think I just spawn a particle emitter that gets attached to the entity. I am making you want to make your own game. You should do it. So I could spawn a particle emitter that sits on the player. When you switch to an ignited weapon. And then maybe there's a way to offset it. Let's have a look how that would work. What do I normally do when you're finished switching? We have swap weapon. When are you called?
Look what I've done, which is not correct, but I'm gonna send you a screenshot.
I'll have a look.
Not correct, but kind of funny. Every now and then, I'm like, this is not what I want at all, but it looks kind of funny, so I'll like take a picture of it.
Maybe it's not swap weapon.
Example. This is not what I want.
Oh, that does look cool though. Chris has made all of the water in her game have this massive spiral pattern on it.
Not what we need.
It's kind of sick though.
It's kind of sick, right?
I don't know. Hello, nobody. You are developing an engine. Do you have binding contexts? Like when an inventory opens, you push inventory binding contexts and the action manager uses bindings of that. What do you mean? What do you mean by that? I've never heard of the word bindings being used in that context. Normally a binding is something that holds things together, and so you need to be specific on that. Hello, Malik. So normally I do swap weapon, force switch animation without changing slot. Means like a callback. Do you have... Do I tend to... I try to avoid using callbacks in this. They seem to have side effects. They're a pain. It's a pain when something in a game. It's very dynamic. It's very easy for you to not actually want the callback response or you to want something else. What about input bindings? You mean input binding? So there's like 2 or 3 ideas as to what you mean. You mean action binding, like walk contains keyboard, W key, and no modifiers. Oh, that's what you mean. Yeah, I have a action responder system. In update, I check the input manager to see if a particular key was pressed. And then I do assorted things like weapon or start moving or whatever. And I'm not checking off. I mean, there's a few places I'm looking for keys for like debug purposes, but for normal gameplay, I'm looking for actions, which are a bit more abstract. So move, focus, attack, pause. And then somewhere I have a bindings JSON, which this is the thing you'd let the user configure, where it binds between these actions and a keyboard key. Does that make sense? So if you don't care about people rebinding things in your game, you could just directly check for these, obviously, but you'd be screwed the moment you find out that French keyboards have a different layout to everyone else, and they can't play your game. Which is fine, maybe. If it's... yeah. But yeah, I have a specific system that is in place in update, running as often as possible, checking the input manager and then updating who cares about it. So things like, are you holding attack? Are you holding alt fire? Whatever. That's how I've done it. It's not the only way you can do it, but it's how I've done it, certainly. Alright, select weapon, I think, is what I want. Hmm. Actually not so simple to spawn in a particle system when you swap weapons. I could just tie the particle system to the weapon itself though. That's also possible. So how do I do that? Normally I guess you have swap weapon in here. You pass in a new weapon, and that new weapon will have been created, well, somewhere. Usually it'll be in, I guess, entity, factory, spawn ground weapon, or even spawn weapon, create weapon. Here we go. So I wonder what it would look like if I did, instead of calling this spawn particle emitter function, if I store a particle emitter on the weapon itself. Because it's just a struct, right? Let me think. Well, hang on. Oh, I normally do it in here. How do you change the bindings, like when a player is walking and enter into a car, or the actions need to adapt to driving? You could have different actions for driving a car that are bound to the same keys. Yeah, what do you mean? How do you change the bindings, like when a player is walking and goes into a car, all the actions need to change? Does when you hit a key, does it tell the player that they've hit the key, or does it tell the player to start walking? Because that's important to handle. The player themselves should probably handle it as a like an intended direction being held, and then it's up to the player object to decide what they want to do with that. Actually, how do I normally handle this? It's not so simple, actually, to do this sort of thing. No, this is stupid. I really need a way to tie a particle differently or something. Or even a particle on the inventory. That's kind of weird. Really, it's the important part that the emitter just only emits stuff if the current weapon is held out, I suppose. So I could, I suppose, store similar information on here. So this is obviously quite debuggy, right? I could even just store like a particle emitter type on it, you know? Can I playtest the game Rage Quit real quick? No, because I won't get anything done if I keep playtesting. I need to do work. Hello, Henry. So normally my spawn particle emitter, you pass in some instructions. It says who it's attached to, the type, lifespan. Could be the case that when a weapon is switched to, I could just have a flag to say, like, has had its particle effect spawned or not. Hello, MY. Haven't seen your haven't been your streams for a bit because you've been dealing with life for a bit. Oh. You doing alright? Let's see, modifiers. Really, it's the modifiers and the type I care about. If not just the type. I could have weapon particle emitter instructions, which is just those two, but that might be unnecessary. Maybe I can just attach this to the weapon for now and just see how I feel. So, flamethrower, explosion. Let's try and spawn a loot beam that sticks on the weapon. That sounds like fun. We don't need a modifier. For now, I don't really care about the tint or the attached transforms or any of this. Well, I suppose you can be parented to your own weapon. I don't really know what that'll do though. No, the weapon isn't an entity. It doesn't make sense. I can get rid of all this shit. So at this point, I really am just adding the type. So I could also just do that as well, I suppose. If I were to attach a type to the thing, I guess we could also do like... I mean, loop beam emitter is fun. Why not? Actually, this is just a uint8t. It doesn't hold on to anything. You want to see what its stats are? What do you mean? I'd need to have a way to hold this. So I could also just store it on the weapon. Maybe we do that. At this point, it does seem kind of weird to store it on the weapon. Really, it just needs to be it needs to happen when it gets switched to, which currently is happening in action responder system. So, Oh, actually, update switch state. Maybe you're what I need. No, you just get delta time. I guess I could say, like, if it's done... If switch state is done... Maybe... If it was too new and now it's done, maybe I could try spawning stuff in. You've been focusing on life in 2 months till you're 16. Good luck. You're moving away to Rust. Okay. Thank you, blue shirt. If you're enjoying Rust, that's important. You want? Go ahead.
What's the website again for the
Desmos.
Desmos.
What you mean is, if the game is good enough to play. That's a little rude. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I hope it's good enough to play. I've spent 6 years working on it. There is no full demo of the prototype game. I'm currently working on making the knife get caught fire if you have an upgrade that makes your weapon set stuff on fire. Bloody hope it's worth playing. That's not what you mean. What do you mean? Sorry. My game's gear and talents. Game gear? So if we've just finished, now the weapon has just been successfully switched to. We could, you know, entity factory. Oh, do we get? We don't get one in here. You mean the prototype and the demo is just what the game looks like right now, is what you're saying? I'm sorry, I don't know what you're asking. You want to see the gameplay? Because I can't take every 2 minutes to show YouTube and Twitch what my game looks like. I need to get work done. You'll see it shortly, in like a second. I want to see if it's really good for a prototype. I think it's really good. Hang on. Let me get this working. Oops. Just tried to share my screen apparently. You don't have access to an entity factory in here, do you? I'm not confused necessarily. It's just I can't keep pausing my work to show people how the current state of the game is. This is how you get nothing done. I've had plenty of streams where I've essentially spent half of it just showing people the game and explaining the systems, and I've gotten basically nothing done. And I can't do that every stream. Oh, if you're const, can you not... No, you're a const reference. You should be able to do stuff now. I guess they're not const functions. Spawn particle emitter. So, if I were to just spawn particle emitter instructions, if I were to just grab a, let's say... loot beam from somewhere. Where did I put that in? This thing. Okay. So if I just want to maybe try and spawning a loot beam, there's nothing here that's going to like cause it to go away. So it will just infinitely spawn them as long as you keep switching weapons. But I just want to see if the idea makes sense. So the position would simply be the current transformed up position, because I'm just, you know, fucking with this for now. And the loot beam, go on then. You can be the you can be the entry dot get selected weapon. I know you're not optional. Alright, this is going to look really jank, but I'm hoping that it spawns a loot beam that sticks to the player when they switch weapons. I'm watching code more than seeing actual gameplay. Oh look, I'm showing gameplay. There is no loot beam. Why is that? Does this not get caught? Oh, this isn't getting called. Old switch state equals done. Your current, wait, hang on. This should be getting set to done. Switch state break. Oh wait, hang on. Am I checking for from old? Oh no, you should be to new. So we should be going between to new and done. What is the game called? I'm running under the temporary title Robotomy. Don't know how temporary it is, but you know. Look, I managed to make a seizure-inducing disco light. Interesting that you can just stack particles. I kind of thought the frame rate would be a little lower than this. Let's find a fast-switching weapon. So every time I switch weapon, it spawns a new particle emitter. And it doesn't seem to be causing problems, so I'm actually kind of confused as to why the flamethrower has so many problems with there being so many particles. There is a lot of particles on top of me right now. It's actually funny how well the loot beam thing looks. There's a lot of particles now, and it's finally starting to lag a bit. But like, does the flamethrower really emit like 1 trillion particles like this? I find it kind of hard to believe. Probably because the particles do collision detection. I didn't think the particles did. I thought the particles were attached to a bullet, and the bullet did particle collision, but then the particles that were given off didn't. But I'd have to check. Maybe they are. I don't really remember. If they are, maybe that's just something I can get rid of. I don't know. Yeah, look. I am indeed able to spawn something when the weapon switches. Bullets. Yeah, I mean, the bullets are, but there's not that many bullets. Okay, so we're able to spawn a particle emitter. That's nice. I also need to make sure that we can destroy that particle emitter. So we'd need to store it somewhere. I guess the inventory can keep track of it, because I'm pretty sure this returns the vector of entities involved. I actually do this with the loot beam. I clear up the leftover particles when you pick up the weapon off the floor. So normally this comes through spawn loot beam, and then that comes through here. Loot beam entities is blah. And we store those on the ground weapon. So I see no reason why I can't store that maybe on the inventory. Because you'd only ever have one weapon out at a time right now. I think that's fine. Are you able to add custom characters? Of course, everything's custom. But yes, characters are as simple as extending the character JSON. So you can just copy it and be like, there's a new character right there. Same sprite, same name, everything, yeah. But it's easy enough. The hard part is coming up with a reason to add a new character and creating all the animations and making them interesting. There's only really one playable character right now. Do you want me to make you a character in my game named after you? I thought you said the game might not be worth playing. I'm just kidding. Unless. I will not be doing that, but it's nice that you would want to be in the game, unless that's the name of like your friend or something. Let's see. So we've got loot beam particles. I'm actually going to call this weapon particles. I'm going to store that in here. Usually it's going to be empty, but we can clean it. So if inventory dot get switch state well, isn't done. I guess we could delete everything from there. So we just clean them up the moment you switch. Yeah. So if we're not currently switching, then we're going to clear it. I guess I forgot to save this file. We're going to clear it, and we'll spawn new stuff. That should stop that disco effect. I just need to make sure I append them in here. I could even just maybe STD move them straight in. I don't know if that's necessary. I think I only... well, you want him to be a boss. Right. Moving by itself won't destroy the entities. It won't. No, that's correct. What do I normally do? Do I just do destroy all? Let me think. We have our collision system. And we have our loot beam particles. Here we go. That should work. Did I not call it weapon particles? Oh, I did. Oh, cock, I added them to the weapon itself, didn't I? No, I shouldn't have done that. There we go. Let's pop them in. Yeah. Yeah. You could even spawn them with their own particles if you wanted to. Anywho, that should work. Did you say no or yes? I said no. This is a game I'm streaming, but I'm not designing it by committee with YouTube and Twitch. Some bits I might be. When I'm saying, like, does this color in this tile look nice to you? But it's not a community project. Wait, what did I do for particle? I'm guessing you're not a... Yeah, you're one of those. Sorry, what's wrong? Yeah. Let's find some new music. We can listen to some more breakcore today. It's good for programming, I think. Probably. Let's see. So switching now should just spawn a different loop beam. Oh, spooky. Here, look. So it clears the particle and spawns a loop beam, and the particle is now following the player. How lovely. But we don't want that. We want the particle to actually be, although it is nice to have a particle that follows the player, what we really need is it to stick to the gun. So what I'm going to do is change it from loop beam emitter to fire ground for now. And I need to now think of a way to tell it that the particles need to actually spawn on the weapon, which is a little tricky, so that is handled elsewhere. I suppose I would need maybe animate. Do I have particle system? I don't remember. I think I have particle system. I think it's still just part of entities factory. I'm thinking maybe I should move that around. The move should be superfluous because it returns a value. Yeah, it was there because I was using that. This thing. Yeah. Pretty sure it returns. Actually, does it? Yeah, it returns a copy by value. Let's see. So normally I have stuff like attached transform. I don't really know a good way right now to pass in, and I guess I could just I need to think. I can make websites, yeah. I'm a HTML kind of guy. I made my own, I think I still have the domain, but my CB used to be hosted on our website I made in Notepad. I thought was fun. I made it like a nice classic website, so HTML and CSS and a couple of nice folders, and loaded in about a millionth of a second. It was like 1 kilobyte or something, I don't know. It was nice. Probably still around somewhere, I don't know. Let's see. Now how do I usually... I don't have like... particle... Oh, I do have particle emitter system. So... usually I have attached transform where I'm spawning them at. Do you make a website to post your game on? No. I will whenever it's ready. It's not ready. So usually I can spawn them at attached transform. I suppose what I could do is just adjust that attached transform somewhere. Weapon system? Maybe? Well, I need to grab this. Where do I normally calculate the new position? View, selected weapon, calculate bullets, weapon data. Also have in tick as well. I suppose in tick, I could calculate where the weapon is and update the attached transform of its particles. Where's a good place to put this? It's sort of similar to what we're doing with muzzle flash, but I kind of want this to be more permanent. This is normally done when you're shooting, yeah? We do shoot bullet. Shoot bullet is triggered in calculate bullets, which is triggered in update. So that's fine. This might be the right place to go. We're not doing any early returns, I think. We're reloading. Somewhere in here we have expelling a casing. At this point we're getting the opposite direction to where you're aiming. So this is probably a good spot to work out relative bullet origin X. Maybe bullet start position. Ooh, maybe I could do this. Hang on. So for every particle entity in the weapon's particles, if const, well not const, auto const attached transform registry dot tryget on particle entity. So if we have an attached transform, perhaps we can just say attached transforms a parent. Bugger, you normally use a parent entity, do you? Maybe I can make a different one for this. And just have a position directly being used. Or instead of attached transform, maybe the particle emitter's position itself, which would be here. So let me think. If it's a particle emitter, then we want to say particle emitters instructions modifiers position is, I guess, bullet start position's a little off, but oh, I've got sprite width in tiles. I could probably calculate the actual center of the gun, but for now let's just say bullet start position. Let's just spawn the particles at the end of the gun. And let's see how that looks. I will need to go back to my action responder system. I'll need to remove the attached transform stuff, I think. That might work. So usually I present bunch of emitters. This might be okay. Particle emitter. Let's just see what this does. It's too hot. Can I have a word with your god to cool it down? Nah, it's gonna have to stay like this, I'm afraid. You've been studying C++ for 6 months because you want to learn game hacking. You want to know how you learned C++ and when it was. It's probably before you were born, just kidding. Unless... Hmm. Oh, it looks like it is actually sticking out the end of the gun, doesn't it?
It accidentally made like a CRT effect.
Oh, sick. Can I see?
Well, I think this is CRT if I don't say.
There do appear to be fire particles coming out at the end of the gun, don't there? Let me try with the loot beam. Hang on. I want to see how this looks. If your game is done for mobile, PC, console... I don't know. I'm currently building it for PC, but it's just a C++ binary. There's not a ton that's stopping it from being spawned elsewhere. Hang on. Have a look. Oh, that's sick, Chris. You should remember how you did that. It'll be useful for your analog horror. Get a haircut. It fell off one day. I see that I guess the particles that are spawned